Greetings and welcome back to another Our Walk in Christ live stream as we start getting ready to discuss dinosaurs and the age of the earth. And so I got the idea doing this particular video because in my travels I have found myself going through most of what is called the Dinosaur Diamond. So if you are unfamiliar with that, this is a stretch of roadway spanning over Colorado, Utah, and I think Wyoming is in there a little bit as well. I can't remember, believe it or not, there is the place with the largest amount of dinosaur bones, which is Kemmerer, Wyoming. I'm not sure is actually in that, but I don't have my maps in front of me and I forgot to check. But regardless, the Dinosaur Diamond is a large place where a lot of dinosaur bones have been found. And of course, this is a place that is studied oftentimes by paleontologists. And anytime you're getting in and looking at all these roadside curiosities or talking about, 450 million years ago and blah, blah, blah. And the Bible, though, paints a very clear picture for a young earth. And so I want to talk about this. Now, I'm not a huge fan of all of the creation research type stuff. I think it puts the emphasis on the wrong things. The gospel is what is most important. So this is something that mostly I'm just talking about this because I've taken a trip through about half of the Dinosaur Diamond, and maybe eventually I will go through and do the rest of it, or I'll just do a whole series of going through it on my travel channel, doing the whole thing. But it just so happened that part of the loop led me into a lot of places. So what I want to do first today is I want to look at the photos and I want to explain the information about these photos. Now, all of these were taken by me in the last few days as I've traveled around this area. So what we're looking at here, this is at Dinosaur National Monument, and what you see in here, and I have my cursor turned on, hopefully you can see it, but right about here in the center, you can see this is a very good representation of a dinosaur bone. So this is like a spine or a vertebrae or something embedded in a rock. As you're climbing up this cliff, you can very clearly see this. So clearly dinosaurs exist. The question is, did this happen millions of years ago? That's really what we're getting at. This is a cast of an Allosaurus. And let's see, this is the cast of the surface, so you can see what it looks like. The actual Allosaurus. I can't remember if it was actually in the museum or if it was, or if this is one that was shipped out to a different museum. Here is inside the exhibit hall at the Dinosaur National Monument. There are basically they have this whole wall which is excavated to show a number of bones. So this is one of the bones of this guy over here. This is a femur, I believe they said. And here's actually the wall, which you can see very clearly see a lot of the bones. Now, there's going to be obviously some conspiracy theories. It's all created. It's all made up. And some of the things you see are like, maybe. But I see a mushroom in that cloud, There was one that I saw. This one is the actual skull. So this one's not a cast. This is an Allosaurus. And this is on display at the Dinosaur National Monument exhibit hall. Now, this is actually at the visitor center. So when the paleontologists are first discovering these bones, they're putting things together, they're actually trying to speculate what these dinosaurs might have looked like. So we have this picture over here on the left is what they projected this thing might look like, but now this is the ongoing theory. This was the original thought of the Stegosaurus. I'm like, well, Ankylosaurus? No, this is what they thought the original Stegosaurus had looked like. And then we had over here, we had, where they believe everything is now. And then this was actually used. I'll show you the picture in a moment. But the sculptors here for the 1964 and 65 New York's World Fair, a sculptor was commissioned to create a life-size scale of several dinosaurs, which were together for a long time. However, they have since been split apart and dispersed to different places. So this is the original Stegosaurus that was created for that World Fair. And where are the other ones? They said they're in that sign, and I forgot, not specifically important. But here's where we get into some of the geological explanations. So this is the Maori Shale, which I actually did not go up to see all this because I've seen plenty of fish scales and fossils and rocks before. But what I want to bring your attention to is what it says here. The dark gray golden colored pictures and flat rock pieces of fish are fish scales. Strong currents at the bottom of shallow sea possibly tore the decomposing bodies apart, leaving only fragments of fish like these scales to be fossilized. So strong currents at the bottom of a shallow sea tore apart decomposing bodies. Maybe it was a rushing giant global worldwide flood, which would also explain why, we find fish at the top of a mountain. That tends to happen when water builds up. And they're saying, of course, this is 100 million years ago. The stump formation, look around the larger rocks on the ground in this area, you may find small clam fossils. These fossils reveal that an ocean once covered this area. Okay, was the area an ocean or was it a giant global flood? That's a question. Belenite, ammonite, both relatives of the squid, the snail, ichthyosaur, a large marine reptile fossil also found in the stump formation. So this is 163 million years ago, allegedly. Again, I don't know how. This is another shot of the wall at the monument. And here's another shot. So you see all these are bones. Now, what they explain at the monument, how all these dinosaur bones got in here, is a bunch of dinosaurs died and then a big river flooded somehow and this deposited all the bones right here. Well, that could also be explained by a bunch of dinosaurs died by a giant flood that caused a river flow and fall in one specific location. So still, all of the examination that we're seeing is perfectly in alignment with the creation story in the scriptures. Here's another scene of that, showing a lot more vertebrae and things like that. And this is I can't remember if this, I think this is an Allosaurus as well. And so we're seeing in here all the different stuff in there. This is on a separate trail. This is called the Trail Through Time, which is just about 8 miles from the Utah border in Colorado. And this one is probably I forget which dinosaur this one would be. Or the big one, not like the Brontosaurus, but the one that starts with a D name, I forget. But very, very clearly you can see the skeletons. This is just sitting out on a hiking trail. Of course, there's a sign there explaining it, and then we're back to our original photo. So very clearly there's evidence, but they're giving us these hypotheses, how many years and millions of years ago, and then a big water flood showed up, and all sorts of other things had occurred, and then they give us this time frame without really any real explanation. And that's interesting. The question is, now they're saying that these are all millions of years ago, well before people and things like that. The question is, does the Bible give us any evidence? Now, I went and read a little bit on the Answers in Genesis website. I'm not a huge fan of those ministries, as I say, and really I found a lot of wishy-washy, ambivalent discussion about it. And even in that, what they're trying to say, they only gave us one verse about dinosaurs in the Bible, but there's actually quite a bit more. And we're going to have a look at this, and we're going to do the NASB, but we're also going to do a few from the King James Version. Here's the reason why. Answers in Genesis correctly points out the term dinosaur was created in the 1800s when the first skeletons were found, and they were called terrible lizards. That's what it means. But the Bible uses a different word, and we're going to get into that in just a moment. But before we do, let's have a look at a few different verses. First is a descriptive. This is kind of like the homosexual argument. There's discussion about homosexuality and what it means and what it doesn't mean, blah, blah, blah. The problem is that a description of what that sin is appears in Romans 1. And so you can't deny the principles there. Well, this here, it doesn't specifically use the term of a dinosaur. It uses a series of descriptive words. And I want you to understand what a few of these descriptive words are. And it says now, this is Job 40:15-24. Now, behold now, behemoth. Now, in the NASB, there's a little hash next to the word behemoth, and it says, translated crocodile. Okay, is this a crocodile? Probably not. We'll explain why. Behold now, behemoth, which I made as well as you. He eats grass like an ox. Behold now, his strength is in his loins, and his power in the muscles of his belly. He bends his tail like a cedar. The sinews of his thighs are knit together. His bones are tubes of bronze. His limbs are like bars of iron. He is the first of the ways of God. Let his maker bring near his sword. Surely the mountain bring him food. And the beasts of the field play there. Under the lotus plant he lies down. In the covert of the reeds in the marsh, the lotus plants cover him with shade. The willows of the brook surround him. If a river rages, he is not alarmed. He is confident, though the Jordan rushes to his mouth. Can anyone capture him when he is on watch? With barbs can anyone pierce his nose? Now, obviously, some of those descriptions could be a crocodile, but there's something a lot more here because, ancient man, do you think ancient man is able to take down a crocodile? Of course. Would ancient man take down a brontosaurus? Not as likely. Okay? And we have to recognize that there are people in our world today that can take on a crocodile. It's not exactly, whoa, who can capture him? No, this is describing something much bigger. This is describing something huge who does not care if the rivers flow. I put this very equally as some form of dinosaur. There is, of course, the other famous one, the water beast, Job 41, 1 through 10. Can you draw out Leviathan with a fishhook or press down his tongue with a cord? Can you put a rope in his nose or pierce his jaw with a hook? Will he make any supplication to you, or will he speak to you of soft words? Will he make a covenant with you? Will you take him as a servant forever? Will you play with him with a bird? Will you bind him for your maidens? Will the traders bargain over him? Will they divide him among their merchants? Can you fill his skin with harpoons, or his head with fishing spears? Lay your hand on him, remember the battle, you will not do it again. Behold, your expectation is false. Will you be laid low even at the sight of him? No one is so fierce that he dares to arouse him. Who then is he that can stand before me? So again, this is describing something way more than something small, something in an ocean, some modern thing. This is a big, big beast. Now, the modern text is using Leviathan, it's using behemoth, and these are also terms that are used throughout the centuries. But what I want to point you to is let's have a look at Nehemiah. What? Nehemiah? No one saw this verse coming, did you? Nehemiah 2:13. When I went out at night by the valley gate in the direction of the dragon's well and on the refuse gate, inspecting the walls of Jerusalem, which were broken down, and its gates, which were consumed by fire. I want to look at that word dragon. Okay, so the word dragon, it in the Hebrew means a monster or a terrible beast. Basically, this is something not to be contended with. This is the only place the NASB actually translates this as dragon, which to us, it's like, you think of this, like, what does this mean? Well, they're just naming things off of stuff they have. I mean, the refuse gate, well, that's easy. That's the garbage dump. You get the valley gate. It goes into the valley. The dragon's well. I don't know. It's a well. Where'd the word dragon come from? It was clearly something that was known at the day it was named. A terrible beast. Something big. A monster. Obviously, we have the other conjuring of the great dragon all through Revelation. Another sign appeared in the heaven. Behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns on his heads were 7 diadems. His tail swept away 1/3 of the stars of heaven and threw them on the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was about to give birth, so that when she gave birth, he might devour her child. Now, the term dragon here, obviously this conjures up some unknown beast of some form, but you have to understand, in the older texts, before the word dinosaur existed, or before any idea of a giant beast existed, between the 1611 when the Bible was first translated in English into the modern, where the history and the tradition preserves those individual ideas, we have this idea of a great monstrous beast. Where did the idea come from? That's a good question. And this brings us into some of the King James verses, because in the King James verses here, we see Psalm 91, 11 to 13. For he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all these ways. They shall bear thee up in their heads, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. You shall tread upon a lion and an adder, the young lion and the dragon shalt thou trample under thy feet. Now, the dragon here in the NASB says cobra. The Hebrew word is, once again, the word for a great beast. Cobra does not fit. This is a great beast. So King James is translating this as dragon. What do we think of as a dragon? We think of it as giant, great, fire-breathing, flying monster, but really the idea of a dragon could be much older than that. And so what's this verse telling us? When you place your trust in God, he gives his angels charge over you to keep in your ways. They'll bear you up in your hands. You will not dash your foot against a stone. You will tread upon a lion and a dragon. What does this mean? Hey, you're going to overpower even the greatest overpowerers. That's what this verse is meaning. This verse uses, can we overpower a cobra? Of course. What about overpowering a dinosaur? Yeah, not so much. My friend has a shirt, and had a shirt. He was when he was a kid, had Jesus riding a Tyrannosaurus like a boss, Absolutely. Really. But we're not going to conquer the dragon. We might conquer the cobra for sure. And then another one from Jeremiah 51:34. Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, hath devoured me. He hath crushed me. He hath made me up as an empty vessel. He hath swallowed me up like a dragon. He has filled his belly within my delicates, and he has cast me out. Again, the NASB uses the word monster. So he swallowed me up like a monster. Well, that's a little vague, but the idea of being swallowed up like a dragon apparently was somewhat common to the people of the days. So what would happen like this? Well, we're all concerned about, stop hunting the wolves. They're going to go extinct. Maybe the people in the days just made them extinct. There's a thought. And the flood killed a bunch of them. Some of them were able to survive past times, maybe not. There is obviously some inference of dragon-like beasts or great beasts, terrible lizards, as it were, in ancient history as well. So my overall point in all this, the Bible is clear. There is overlap between dinosaurs and man. The evidence that we have seen, the evidence at these dig sites, their explanations, a rushing river tore the bodies out, preserving the shells. Well, that can happen with a flood. A giant river flooded and it washed all these dinosaurs in this spot. That would happen in a global flood. All right. All these things, the evidence can be billions of years old. The evidence can be a young earth creation. The evidence can be whatever you want the evidence to be. The fact is, we do not have scientists who were there to study it at the time. We can only speculate. So every form of speculation is valid. All right. This does not mean a person needs to agree with the young earth creation to be saved, but it is important for the maturing believer. You cannot maintain, I can't say you can't maintain, but if you are an honest, maturing believer, you have got to come to the grips that our earth is a young earth, about 10,000-ish years old. You've got to come to that grasp. You've got to come to the grasp that dinosaurs did exist and walk on the planets with people. And the explanations they give us, they don't hold a lot of weight. They don't. You can explain it in one way or the other. But my point in all this is that you don't have to be militant about the creation story, and I advise you not to do that. Be militant about the gospel of Jesus Christ, that we are sinners. We are incapable of saving ourselves, and it is only by our confession of Jesus Christ and belief on him on the cross that we can be saved. But as we are maturing, we have to come to grips about some of these things. We have to cast off the false teaching that this is millions and millions of years old, and we speculate it's all these, and they present it as fact when the Bible tells us something different. When it comes down to it, Hebrews 11:3, it is by faith that we believe that everything that we see was created out of what was unseen. That's the important point today. So thanks for coming along, and we will get to comments. I see there's a lot of comments over here right now, so we'll go ahead and get to those comments, and we will move on from there. All right, let's see. Let me pop these comments out. Oh, did I? Oh, no. Okay, I didn't miss any comments. So let me set these up, and then I'll put them up there on the screen so you guys can see what I'm reading at the same time. Whoop, don't push that button. That'll reset it all. No. All right. Nope. A little bit more. There we go. That's good enough. All right. Watching PBS yesterday on Zumo. I was talking about dinosaurs and other animals that migrated for or from or to. I don't know. Hard to believe a camel went from North America to South America. Let's see. Hello, Leo. A friend from Scotland called, and that's where I dug up this old fossil. Tell him, don't blame me. I didn't vote for him. Of course he didn't. I would say very few did, but clearly was the most duly elected, most popular president in all time. Very clear. Truth. Truth right there. All right. So cute, so soft, so peaceful. What's wrong with that cat? He's just cute. Oh, buddy. All right. It's Kitty's cape outfit is unleashed. There you go. I've seen some of that stuff on PBS and Zumo yesterday. Genesis Apologetics channel has an excellent film on Noah's flood and why there were dinosaur graveyards in certain places. Yeah, that's the first thing I saw. I look at these things, I'm reading this going, a great flood, and those river flooded and moved all these bodies one location. Well, that would happen in a great flood. Yeah, just saying. Hello, Frost Ranger. Greetings. There's evidence among several scientists who found dinobones with connective tissue still elastic. Yep. Paleosaurus? No, that one's like Dilophosaurus or something like that. Many intact fossils found with necks bent back showing death by asphyxiation. Yep. Book of Job has God speaking of Leviathan and Behemoth. We got the part of smoke coming from his knees. Yes. Dad said to us that giants did exist and were not limited to just man. Yeah. Well, I mean, I did see evidence of Amalekites today. The urinals at that rest stop I stopped in, man, I had to be careful not to touch parts to it. It was so high. I'm like, what is this designed for? Giants? I can barely use this thing. Anyway. Correct. An eternity separated from Christ is worse than hell, and it's fire and demons itself. Yeah. Yes, I shall tempt thy kitters. You're missing out. Nothing wrong with the kitty. He's fat and happy. Yep, I know. Just looked at our learner's Bible that my parents gave us, and notes say it was rivers flooding were quite common. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what they're referencing right there, but all right. Let's go ahead and feed the beasts, and then if more comments come in or questions or anything like that, we'll go ahead and do that. But let's go ahead and feed the beasts in the meantime. Oh, kitty, you know what day it is, right? It's Thursday. That means you get kitty treats. You get kitty treats. Yes, you do. You get kitty treats, huh? Oh yeah. You get kitty treats too. Come up, baby. Come on up. Come on. Come on up. You gotta come over here, though. You gotta come over here. Here, you over here. There you go. You stay there. And you go there. That's yours. You've had yours, you fatty. I'm fat shaming my cat. Yeah. been fat shamed. Yes, you have. Yeah. Huh. So you get. My caddy's been fatty shamed. They're like, I gotta get my thumb so I can figure out how to get in that drawer. Special day. All right. How do plants play a role in all of this? What do you mean? What do you mean? How do they play a role in all of this? I guess I'd need more clarification on that. Friendliest beasts of the Bible. Those two carnivores. That's right. Well, I don't know. The cute one's friendly. This one there, she's not super friendly. Yeah. You come up on my van, she'll be sitting on my driver's seat, and she will hiss at you. She's like, no, she's the guard cat. Let me close this down, see if I get a clarification on that one question. Years you've lived and how you lived it. Okay, how do they connect and become part of life? Like plants themselves, how do they connect and become part of life? Well, plants themselves, obviously, they are the original solar generators. They're the ones that take the energy from the sun and convert it into the nutrients that the rest of the creatures start on. And of course, some organisms are carnivores, some organisms are omnivores, some organisms are herbivores. And so the herbivores will eat the plants. They will create these good bodies with meat, and then the carnivores or the omnivores will eat those. So really it all starts with the plants. That's actually how it all starts. But as far as that, I mean, I don't, they're in the scripture. In fact, the scriptures do tell us that prior to the flood, everything was vegetarian. That would even include dinosaurs. All vegetarian, all herbivores. Now, the Answers in Genesis goes into a weird place, and they start being like, well, the dinosaurs started killing people, and this was sin, and God judged them. Like, what the world are you talking about? But, whatever that is. He's been fat shamed. He doesn't care a bit. No, he's like, I'm Lizzo. Look at my new outfit. Being happy and fulfilled is any more warning. God has given creative, intelligent design to all living things. That is true. All right, guys, we are going to wrap this one up right here for the night. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We will be back with another Daily Walk on Tuesday. And with that, we will catch you guys later. Enjoy.